In this video, we're going to continue where we left off in the previous part of the video. So now what we need to do is to actually save the number of coins and the distance that we have covered in here, the save game blueprint. So for this one, what I'm going to do is open the third person game mode. So I'm just going to drag this one above, add a comment over here so that it's again easier to understand what's going on. I am just going to name this as calculate distance. And then from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this section of blueprints away. I'm going to get the player pawn and use it as an object to cast to the third person character. So connect it over here, again move it a bit more further. And from here, again, remember that we have created an event dispatcher over here, the save and load dispatcher. We're going to use that over here. So search for save and load dispatcher, and we're going to select the bind event to save and load dispatcher. So we're going to use this to bind an event to the save and load dispatcher. We're going to add a custom event, and I'm going to call the custom event as load and save distance and coins, and connect the red pin over here to this input pin. So now what happens is that in whichever blueprints there is this bind event to save and load dispatcher, it will call whatever event that is connected to this. And that means that when you first start the game, it will create the game UI blueprint widget, and then it will bind the save and load dispatcher to the load and save distance and coins. And this will get activated whenever this event will be called upon. Alright, so over in here, I'm going to drag the execution pin and then search for does save game exist. From here, I'm going to right click the slot name over here and promote it to a variable. I'm just going to quickly compile this and then click on the slot name, and in the details, go over here under the default value and I'll give it a name slot 1. So from here, I'm going to drag this node over here and search for branch. And after that, I'm going to drag the true execution pin and then search for load game from slot. And again, I'm going to use the exact slot name that I used before, get the value and use it over here. So the reference must be the same, and I will explain this all in detail later on. And then I'm going to drag the false pin, search for a reroute node, and then from the reroute node, I'm going to drag this and then search for create save game object. So this one over here, and I'm going to select the save game that we have created before, that is the save g hyphen distance and coins. Then after that, I'm going to promote both of these outputs over here. Going to call this save reference. I'm going to drag the save reference over here and set the value over here as well. So just connect it like this. And then after that, I'm going to drag the data pin of the save reference and then type cast to save G. We're going to just copy it and paste it over here and there. And similarly, I'm going to right click over here and promote this to a variable and use the same variable over here as well. So select set and connect the pins like this. And then from here, I'm going to drag the execution pin and then search for sequence. Alright, so I'm going to drag the execution pin of this node over here and connect it over here. And after that, I'm going to add another pin over here so that we have 3 pins over here. And then drag the first pin, type for reroute node And then from the reroute node, I'm going to search for branch. And after that, I'm going to get a less than node over here and connect this to the branch condition over here. And after that, I'm going to drag the save G and distance and coins reference, drag this from here and get the reference. And then if we were to go back to the save G and distance, the save game that we have created before, you can see we created two variables over here. We're going to get that variable from here. So I'm just going to drag this, add a reroute node again to make things more nicer. And then from here, drag and search for long distance. All right, so I'm going to get long distance. And after that, I'm going to get distance M over here. That is under variables. Just drag and get the value over here. So I'm going to drag the pin from the long distance and search for less, the less operator, and connect distance M to this operator over here in B. And this is kind of important. You need to make sure that distance M is connected to B and long distance is connected to the A integer over here. Connect the Boolean output to the branch condition over here. So I'm just going to drag this a bit higher since we have a bunch of other nodes that we need to add over here. And after that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag the pin over here and search for, again, long distance. And this time we are going to set the value. Again, add a reroute node so everything looks nicer by double clicking on it. And drag distance M from here to long distance. I'm going to actually drag this a bit more higher because again there's not enough space. I'm now going to drag the execution pin. We're going to do the same thing, but this time it's going to be for the coins. So I'm going to drag the save G and distance coins reference over here. I have named it as total coins. So getting the total coins, as you can see over here, double click on it to add a reroute node. And this time I'm also going to get the current coins. And then drag the total coins and search for less operator. Again, connect them the same way as before. The current coins must be on the B integer and the total coins must be over here at the top. And after this, I'm going to drag the save G again and search for total coins. We're going to set the total coins. So drag this over here, double click it to create a reroute node, connect the true pin to the set over here, and then drag the current coins from here to set total coins over here. And after that, I'm going to drag the execution pin from here, create a reroute node, and then drag the reroute node and search for save game to slot. And in here, we're going to get the save reference over here that we have created previously, drag it over here and get the value of that save reference. And we're also going to get the slot name and connect it over here. And with that, we have completed this. So now I'm just going to select all of these nodes over here, click on C to create a comment, and just call it save and load distance and coins. Click on the show bubble option as well, compile and save. So now I'm going to explain how this custom event over here works. So when this custom event gets called, it will first check whether the save game exists, and we're going to check it with this slot name, that is slot 1 over here. And to explain what this slot name actually is, so the way this slot name works is that the save game class kind of saves the data into this slot name over here, which are basically save game files. And you can actually have multiple different types of slot names to save specific kinds of data in it. And you can also have multiple types of blueprint classes as well. And the reason why Unreal Engine allows its developers to have different slot names and different save game blueprints is so that you can actually separate certain types of game data from the others. So you can actually go to the documentation. I will link it in the description so you can refer it and learn how this actually works. Moving over here. And if we already have the save game slot, it's going to load it over here and then set it as a save game reference over here and then cast it to the save G distance and coins. And if we don't have a save game slot, we're going to create a save game object by using the save G distance and coins. So we're going to use the save game class to create a save game object. And again, we're going to use the same save game reference and cast it to the save G distance and coins. And then we're going to set that reference over here. And after that, it's going to go to the sequencer over here. So the first thing that we're going to do is check the long distance that is stored in the save G distance and coins. So if we have stored a distance that was previously the longest distance, it will be over here as long distance. And then we are going to compare it with the current distance, that is distance m. And if distance m is higher than longest distance over here, then it's going to save distance m as longest distance. That means it will overwrite whatever value that was previously stored in longest distance. If distance m is smaller in value as compared to long distance, then the boolean value over here will be false and nothing will happen over here. So that's how we run the first execution pin. In the second execution pin, alright, I think I made a mistake. Delete this over here, drag the total coins and type add. And then I'm going to add this as total coins. So we don't need the branch node. You can just remove it and directly connect this execution pin to the total coins over here. So I guess we could try making this a bit more compact. Again, in the case of this total coins, we want to get the total number of coins that the player have collected so far, not the highest amount of coins that the player have managed to collect in each playthrough of the game. So that is why we are adding the two values over here. And then finally, in the second execution pin, we are again saving this to the save game slot. Alright, so we're getting the save game object reference and we are adding a slot name over here. So you can choose to have various other slot names over here. So yeah, that is how this whole section works. Again, if you have any confusions, I recommend you to actually check the documentation that I'll link in the description. It should clear most of your doubts if you have any. And yeah, that's about it for this video. In the next part of this video, we are going to display the total number of coins and the longest distance that the player have covered in the game over blueprint widget. So yeah, thanks for watching and see you later. Bye.